Want to magnify your radiance? Hi, I'm Ann Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. So, one of the greatest mistakes we can make is underestimating the power of our radiance. And in today's talk, we not only address how to magnify that radiance, but also address the traps of self-centeredness, self-worshiping, narcissism. There is a very clear difference between divine radiance and egoic radiance, and we must take a very sober look at what we're harboring within ourselves before we magnify it. Okay, so let's get started. Thanks for joining me, by the way. So in this ever increasing world of polarity that we are in right now, one of the most immediate things that we can do to raise our vibration and also the vibration of everyone around us is to check our radiance, check our vibration, check that frequency. What are we emitting? And the energy that we harbor within our bodies and our minds, it directly impacts the world around us and in ways that we really can never imagine or begin to fathom. So let's look at the two types of ways we can use our energy. And I know you guys will identify with a couple of these. So first is an energetic vampire, and then how that's different from energetic conductors. Okay, energetic vampires versus energetic conductors. So energetic vampires, what's examples of this? People who always complain, people who you always try and help but nothing is ever good enough, people who feel like they are sucking the life out of the room. And they don't realize that, maybe they do, sometimes it's a plea for attention, but the impact on others is vast. We know what it feels like to be in a room with somebody who is an energetic vampire. This might also be somebody in our lives that continuously is pulling energy, is pulling attention, is doing things like this so that we cannot find that interdependence. It feels more like a collapsing of energy. So how is an energetic vampire different from an energetic conductor? We've all been around people who uplift us, who when they walk in the room, we almost take another deeper breath in rather than, oh God, here they are. We feel that uplifting sense to our own frequency with those energetic conductors. They're people who uplift us. They're people who want us to succeed and who are our cheerleaders in life, but they don't even have to say anything. Their presence and being around them makes a huge difference for us and uplifts our own energy. Okay, so the impact that we're holding within us, whether it's a vampire or a conducting energy, it has such an impact on others, but also, and this is quite egoic, it has such an impact on self. It can be incredibly healing for us to channel healing energy, divine energy, energy of the light, positive frequency, constructive energy, or it can be very negative and devastatingly harmful to channel negativity, to channel darkness, deconstructive action or energy, words, thoughts, etc. If we don't want to magnify something that's destructive, we have to say, am I being an energetic vampire or am I being an energetic conductor? Now, this is a little bit more complicated and has a few more facets, so let's get into it, because this isn't just about one or the other, it's what are the motivations behind it and being able to find that purity of energy within. So what is radiance? Radiance is the magnetizing of light. It's emitting light. It's being like a sun, being sparkly, bringing those rays of energy out into the world. And we can be radiant with negativity, or we can be radiant with positivity or light. And the imbalance, if it is more in the darkness, can be found in the third, fourth, and fifth chakras. And we can make an argument for all of them, but I'm going to focus on those today. So let's think about, first of all, what robs us of our radiance. Fear of speaking up, fear in general, right? Fear of speaking up, fear of being authentic, being afraid of looking bad or being exposed. in a way that people can begin to harm us or speak ill of us or make us wrong. Resistance also is something that keeps us from our radiance, like trying to change things other than the way they are, being in that struggle against the present moment. These are things that can rob us of our radiance. So what robs us of our divine radiance? Those traps, let's look at those now. Those are in the third, fourth, and fifth chakras, or energy centers, or energies patterns in the body. So don't get weirded out by that word. That's not important as much as what's underneath of it. So let's talk about the egoic radiance. So if we have egoic radiance, the third chakra shadow or dysfunction is a self-centered arrogance or narcissism. So this egoic radiance, it's like everything revolves around you. Everything revolves around your egoic self. This is different from recognizing yourself as the center of your own universe, because when you are the sun is very mindful and gives and gives and gives with such unconditional love. That's very different than being egoically self-centered or narcissistic. So what's the priority here? How can we recognize this? It's a worship of power, worship of money, a worship of things that are dominating or outside of ourselves. We have, in this chakra, we have a need to be seen in a certain way, to be worshipped or idolized. And the examples of this we see so often around us, unfortunately. These can be spiritual teachers with no accountability for their own actions, spiritual leaders who have abused their power to be sexual predators, or to not even be self-reflective about how I might be impacting somebody else, those who recklessly use their power for their own benefit, regardless of the negative impact of others, like people who make their living off of things that knowingly harm others. That's a dysfunction in this third chakra and can lead to that. They can be very radiant. They can be very magnetic in a way that is more of a hierarchical, egoic, self-centered narcissism. So that is not the magnetism or the radiance we are going for. Let's fast forward from the third chakra to the fourth chakra. The fourth chakra shadow or the dysfunction here is like a lack of compassion, a lack of empathy. It is just priority of getting your own needs met at the expense of others. And this refusal to truly listen or empathize when somebody is bringing up a complaint, when somebody is sharing with you what is going on for them, not allowing that heart-to-heart connection to happen, but being in a space of withdrawal, being in a space of no connection, not feeling that sense of empathy, that true empathy. Let's look at the fifth chakra, because if we don't look at the fifth chakra, we can miss the whole point. We can miss the whole point. It can be all finger pointing and not taking ownership. So fifth chakra shadow dysfunction is this sense of superiority complex, of dominating every conversation, or thinking that my voice matters more than your voice. What I'm saying is more important than what you're saying. We see this online. We see this everywhere in this cancel culture. We see this in our own families of not listening to one another, not when somebody is being transparent and bringing something onto the table, ignoring it, silencing all dissent, or compartmentalizing that it's just nonsense. It's nonsensical. So if we are not expressing ourselves, if we are not bringing to light the dysfunctions in our life or the dysfunctions in our relationships, we are also silencing ourselves in this fifth chakra. So when somebody does something, let's put this into practicality. When somebody does something that hurts us in some way, some people believe that the best thing to do is just to rise into this higher place of, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go and move on. While this is sometimes very effective in some situations, more often than not, it is an avoidance of conflict. How do we address conflict so that we can say in our relationships, this is not working? How do we better align it so that we can have a freedom and a sense of transparency in our relationships? If we never speak up about it, if we never do it from the heart and say, look, I'm risking you attacking me, or I'm risking looking vulnerable by bringing this up. If we don't bring it up and allow ourselves to be vulnerable and transparent, transparency is power. Vulnerability is power. Hiding from it, avoiding conflict, avoiding the elephant in the room is not powerful. So in doing this and bringing it up and speaking about it and addressing it with love, but also, of course, with honesty, this will allow ourselves to be more free in our relationships rather than keeping score, rather than brushing something under the rug. Because, guys, none of us are perfect. But if we don't bring it up, these uncomfortable moments in our lives where there is true hurt or hurt feelings, then this will fester. And if it's not met by an accountability or responsibility or an empathy, then we can't really bridge those gaps, okay? And if in the end, what we're met with when we bring these things up is a lack of empathy, zero accountability, no compassion, then we have to then make the choice to move on, adjust our expectations, or how we're going to move through the world. Because if we harbor that resentment, brush things under the rug, pretend like it doesn't impact us, that we're superhuman, that we're not going to be transparent about this conflict, then it will dull our radiance. It will dull our ability to shed light and to channel that light into the world rather than shedding our own shits. Okay, sorry for the S-bomb there. Okay, so good questions to ask ourselves. If we're going to allow this fourth chakra to be radiant, and let's just acknowledge that our fourth chakra, this heart center, is 5,000 times more powerful. This EMF, this electromagnetic field, is 5,000 more times powerful than our brain. So we have to remember that our heart trumps logic, how right we are or how wrong they are. It trumps logic. We must get on our heart to forgive. We must get on our heart to empathize, to have compassion. And like attracts like, right? So if we are harboring a negative energy, the people in our lives who show up in a light way will not be able to be harmonious. This is why there are a lot of different teachers in this world. There are teachers that harbor a certain frequency and that attracts a certain student. There are certain friends you connect with that you're attracted to because they have a certain radiance. That is how the law of magnetism works, or that attraction. So questions to ask yourself. Let's get into some takeaways here. In order for the fourth chakra to be radiant and magnetizing this beautiful light of love into the world, our third, fourth, and fifth chakras need to be in check. Here's some questions to ask. If the dysfunction's in the third, we need to ask ourselves, am I taking responsibility for my individual impact on this world? That doesn't mean you walk on eggshells around everybody. Am I taking accountability, responsibility for my individual impact on the world? How am I impacting others? Or other than just saying it's their issue. Number 4, am I empathizing with others? Am I bringing my heart to others and saying, I can't get in their world exactly, but how might what I have done impacted others in a negative way? How might I shift or take accountability for it? How might I listen to them more from my heart than from my ego trying to discount their complaint? Number 5, the fifth chakra is, am I speaking my truth with purity? Am I speaking my truth with purity? Not, oh, everything's fine, but am I speaking my truth with purity, with transparency? This is so, so critical, these 3 questions. And I'm going to leave you with this beautiful, beautiful teaching that I learned actually in my senior year of high school with my beautiful drama teacher then, Mr. Stanford Paris. Mr. Stanford Paris, a beautiful teacher. He taught us this golden ball of light exercise. So in this last moment, I'll teach you what it's like. You reach up to grab this beautiful golden ball of light representing divinity, representing divine love and light, and bring it down through all aspects of your entire body to radiate purity of love, to find any discordance or shadows within, bringing them up to the surface. So shout out to Mr. Paris. Mwah, love you all. Remember, we've got a new moon women's circle in person in New York City in Astoria on the Astoria Pole platform in September, as well as autumnal equinox. So keep raising the vibration, everybody. If you want one-on-one coaching, just message me. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.